Part 84. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 850. I believe you know if you have offended us angels. Don't forget that we angels have discerning eyes. Any so-called secrets you have are invisible to us. Angel 11's indifferent words made the person in charge of the beautiful home feel excited. They were not good people. According to Angel's concept of justice, they would all be judged. However, he still did not order his subordinates to take action. He also wanted to he said a few words, but was directly interrupted by Angel 11. You dare to capture the civilized residents of the righteous order. This is an unforgivable crime. Accept the judgment. Immediately, a flame slash of nearly 10 meters fell from the air and exploded with a bang. The raging energy flames immediately swallowed up the entire hall. The security personnel holding weapons were washed away by the flames on the spot, and turned into nothingness. Such a huge movement naturally alarmed the people behind Trading Street, and small floating ships began to rush towards the scene of the incident. But when they arrived, the fire in the beautiful house had already spread, and the building that was tens of meters high had collapsed in several places. People standing hundreds of meters away were full of people watching the excitement. The reason for this was because the forces that attacked the beautiful home had no intention of affecting innocent people, otherwise they would have run away long ago. At this moment, Angel 11 was rescuing the women who were imprisoned in the underground prison and taking them outside one by one. She did not stop her actions because of the aerospace ship arriving overhead. Please put down your weapons and surrender immediately. You have violated the rules here. If you don't give up resistance, we will open fire directly. The floating ships in the sky began to shout. The reason for this was because they had seen that the forces attacking the beautiful home were not easy to deal with. Otherwise, they would have taken action long ago, and the place would still be whining in the sky. It was you who violated the law of justice and order first. Angel 11 hereby declares that we angels will never tolerate anyone who dares to take action against justice and order. Angel 11 incited his angel wings to rise into the air, shocking everyone present for a moment, including several Exchange Street aerospace security forces in the same sky with him. After learning that the troublemaker turned out to be an angel, the security forces on Exchange Street were suddenly in a dilemma. They didn't know whether they should follow the rules and capture the other party. But soon the captain of the security forces on duty this time didn't want to think about this anymore. Leave it to the people above to deal with the headache. So after many layers of reporting, this matter was put in front of the big boss behind the Trading Street. As soon as he saw this problem, he felt that his head was a little big, and he kept persuading himself in his heart to do it. Come. Boss, tell me whether we should take action or not. If we don't, we will lose our authority and we won't be able to control the situation in the future. Just give us a spanking. One angel is enough for us. This time, there are 6 of them, and the ones riding on the horses are all high-level angels. Let's hit them with their heads. Prepare a shuttle ship for me to go to the surface. I have to go and talk to the angels in person, otherwise the entire Exchange Street will be annihilated. Soon a shuttle ship flew out of the small starport on Exchange Street and quickly rushed towards the surface. In the ship, the big boss was checking the cause of the conflict with the angels. When he saw that something was found in the basement of the beautiful house, he was simply speechless for the person in charge of the wonderful home when he justly ordered the citizens of civilization. As the boss of Exchange Street, of course he knew what beautiful home was about. When Angel first arrived here, he gave them a warning and asked them to restrain themselves and not to hit Angel's gun. There is no room for sand in those women's eyes. Unexpectedly, the other party was still entangled by the angel, but judging from the current development of the situation, there should still be talks, otherwise the angel should be a small starport, but in my heart, this person who single-handedly developed the Trading Street, the boss, has already made a decision in his mind. This incident may also be an opportunity to get on the line with the angel. I'm sorry that what happened this time is all due to our poor supervision of Trading Street. I will ask my men to conduct a thorough investigation later to see if there are any other residents of justice and order living here. I wonder if, Lord Angel, you have any suggestions on how to deal with this matter? The boss of Trading Street had made plans just now on the road, but after seeing Angel Wen and the four angels with bad expressions behind her, his heart still slowed down. He is the big boss here and has the power to kill many people. Rights, but angels are worshipped as gods in all civilizations. When they straightened their faces, the invisible pressure filled the room with an extremely depressing atmosphere. Therefore, the big boss also gave up the initial wrangling and the idea of shirking responsibility, directly admitted that it was their supervision that was not good, and handed the initiative in the negotiation directly to Angel Wen. You are quite sensible. We didn't come here to cause trouble for you in the first place. A scum like you, if it were within the scope of the righteous order, would have long been the target of our angel warriors and died under our swords. But this place is not covered by the order of justice. It is the duty of the Bach Nebula civilization to punish criminals like you. We angels will not overstep their bounds, but this incident is different. It was your people who took the lead in attacking one of my soldiers. Naturally, my warrior would not swallow her anger, and as you know, she discovered the residents of the Order of Justice who were abducted by the star thieves in that beautiful home. Then the nature of this matter is different. This is a serious crime that provokes the Order of Justice. The last civilization that did this has already perished under the pressure of the heavenly blade. Angel Wen's words did not have any threatening meaning, but the big boss of Trading Street was already breaking out in a cold sweat. Ordinary civilians in this universe may not feel it, but the higher you climb and the more you know, the more you will feel about this universe. The angels who oppress the entire universe and claim to be the defenders of order, the demons who spread chaos and want to establish a kingdom of fallen freedom, the mysterious and unpredictable Styx, the blazing sun with the power to transport stars, and many powerful creatures of all kinds. Divine civilizations are all capable of being proud of the surrounding stars. But there are a few of them that must not be provoked. The first one is angels, because if you provoke other civilizations, as long as you hide in the sphere of influence of another God-making civilization, the other party may take into account the conflict between civilizations and will not take action with great fanfare. But the angels have proven that as long as they have a reasonable reason, almost any civilization will sell them a favor. When the sky blade comes to the fore, any resistance will be turned into powder. This made him feel intimidated and frightened. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 851. I'm sorry, Lord Angel. We didn't know before this that they would take action against the civilization of the righteous order, and I am not on the same side as them. I am willing to fully cooperate with the angel civilization to destroy this group of gangsters who dare to provoke the angels. In addition, I got some news. I believe you will be interested in it, Lord Angel. After saying that, the big boss of Trading Street immediately took out his projection board and played a scene shot in the distance in the air. The content made Angel Wen frown slightly. Although the content was very small, there was a familiar sound in it. The figure, the dark blue cloak and the blade at the hem of the cloak, although it is not sure if they are the same person, it is enough. The people you are looking for are members of a group of elite troops within the rebels. Their name is the Hidden Edge. They belong to the rebels of the Hayden civilization and are quite powerful. Angel Wen did not speak. She was thinking about what kind of courage a group of rebels had to go to the distant galaxy to release supergenetic warriors. There must be something fishy in this. Angel Wen motioned to continue. The Hayden civilization and Thane civilization have often clashed over the years over the Tiberium mines, so this group of rebels took advantage of the situation and occupied many remote colonial stars of the Hayden civilization. The Stealth Edge is an elite force they spent a lot of money to build. proficient in assassination and lurking. If Lord Angel wants to find them, I suggest that we cooperate with the Hayden civilization, and they should be very happy. The trading street boss told the information he had collected without mentioning the reward at all. Are you still in contact with the Hayden civilization? I have a few familiar friends in Hayden civilization who can help you connect with His Excellency Angel. Angel Wen nodded slightly and did not object, because it involved the rebels of the God-making civilization. Of course she could lead the team to kill them directly, but it was more justifiable to obtain the official authorization from the Hayden civilization. After all, this was it's considered a civilized chore for the other party. Then let's talk about how our just and civilized residents were captured here, right? One of my warriors can't wait to take down this evil gang that dares to interfere with justice. Angel Wen occupies the absolute dominant position, so naturally she won't talk nonsense and jumps directly to the next topic. Okay, this is the information I compiled. Beautiful House is affiliated to Haishan Company. It is mainly engaged in entertainment and selling stolen goods. It has branches in many nearby planets. But in fact, the boss of Black God Company is Black God, the leader of the Star Pirates located in the Wanderer Sea Star region. His subordinates are powerful and have several plundering fleets, as well as a purchased second-hand star cruiser from Thane civilization. According to the information we have collected, Black God himself was once an officer of Thane civilization. He later defected for unknown reasons and gathered a group of interstellar mercenaries to establish the current Black God Company. While explaining, the trading street boss also placed the storage projector containing all the information on Black God on the table in front of him with a very respectful attitude. Angel Wen picked it up and read the detailed information directly, and soon had the idea in mind. The Thane civilization and the Hayden civilization are really enemies. According to the information, this Black God is a star thief, but he targets the Hayden civilization everywhere. It is obviously the black glove released by the Thane civilization to attack the opponent, but he just refuses to admit it because of his reputation. These ordinary civilizations are troublesome when fighting, unlike angels like them. If they say they want to fight you, they will directly attack you with an army. They will fight head-on first and decide who is stronger and who is weaker. But since the other party is involved with the God-making civilization, 11 can't let 11 solve the matter by herself, otherwise it will be bad if something unexpected happens. When thinking about this, Tian Shangwen was no longer talking to the boss of the trading street. He got up from his seat directly in interest. Seeing this, the boss of Trading Street knew that it was time for him to resign. He almost stood up, said goodbye to Angel Wen and left the room. Sister Wen, why should we cooperate with them? He doesn't believe in justice. Faced with the problem of the angels under her command, Angel Wen was a little helpless. She thought about whether she should advise Queen Keisha after she went back, so that these new generation angels, who were only interested in fighting and killing, could go to some civilizations to experience it. How to deal with certain things when you have your own strength. What's the use of killing him? Another him will appear here soon, and the environment here may not be as good as it is now. He is very smart and knows what can be done and what should not be done. This is why I don't. The reason for touching him is that if he dares to come to see us, he is betting that we will not kill him. What Angel Wen said was actually correct at all, but she still missed one thing because of her status, that is, the boss of Trading Street was not just betting on Angel's forgiveness. He was also taking advantage of Angel's influence to expand his power in Bo Nemesis Cloud's influence. Every civilization in the universe knows that angels are a handful of beings who are willing to reason with the weak. Reasoning means that as long as you don't violate some of their bottom lines, you can do some harmless operations. This is what the boss of Trading Street had in mind. The reason why he lowered his profile at the meeting was certainly because of his reputation as an angel. On the other hand, he was using the opportunity of connecting with angels to send a message to Hayden and other civilizations. His backer is an angel, and he is doing things for the angel. In this way, some things that were originally inaccessible because of his identity can be easily obtained. For example, taking this opportunity to acquire several military warships and weapons from the Hayden civilization, wouldn't his power take off directly? Other surrounding forces formed a dimensionality reduction attack. Of course, having an angel on your back can give you a thick leg, but at the same time, you cannot do things that clearly violate the concept of justice. Otherwise, you may become the so-called evil one day and be judged as a model. But he didn't care. This opportunity was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and after today he converted to the idea of justice. He went back to cast an angel statue and put it in his home. He prayed every day, and he didn't believe that angels would abandon him, a devout believer. Of course, Angel Wen doesn't know about these things, otherwise she would definitely persuade this dear friend with a wry smile. It doesn't have to be so troublesome to believe in angels. As long as you sincerely abide by the concept of justice, you can call yourself a believer in angels. Of course you accept this identity. The angels also have the right to judge you. This is why the divine authority of angels is so prevalent within the order of justice. After the boss of Exchange Street and Angel reached a consensus, the Exchange Street float ship that originally came to suppress the conflict immediately changed its identity and became a firefighting and rescue team, carrying the people rescued by Angel 11 to the temporarily designated area. Settlement site. The resettlement of these poor women has also come to fruition. If they are willing to return to their hometown and the civilized trading street, they will be sent back. If they are not willing, they will be given jobs and settled here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 852. And soon the Exchange Street introduced new rules. In addition to prohibiting fights and killing in the street, there were many other rules, including robbery and rape of women. For a while, the mercenaries and star thieves here thought that he suddenly arrived in a civilized city, but this did not cause much backlash. Because most of the people who come here are wanted criminals and people with shady identities. They can't go to some civilized cities. Otherwise, who would come to this shabby place? Moreover, it has only changed from a simple order to an orderly order. They relax here and have little impact. However, this change is very unfriendly to some low-level gangs and scum, because it means that some of their income will change from legal to illegal, and they may be brutally suppressed by the trading street. Lives will be lost. This approach of abandoning some small profits and rectifying the trend has really made Angel Wen have a great change in the boss of trading street. At least it doesn't look so bad. Of course, many vested interests were offended behind the rectification of Exchange Street, but with the tough tactics of its boss and the possible platform of Angel, no one dared to come out to oppose it, which greatly increased the boss's prestige within the power. On the other hand, Angel 11, who personally watched the poor women being settled in the Exchange Street, also returned to the hotel. Facing the sister who provoked the rectification of the Exchange Street, Angel Wen did not blame her. She just pointed out the Black God company behind the beautiful home. The information is briefly discussed. After hearing this, Angel 11 was about to set out to deal with this notorious gang of star thieves, but was stopped by Angel Wen. Don't worry, this group of star thieves not only robbed the Justice Order civilization, but also attacked many commercial and resource transportation fleets of the Hayden civilization. After I talk to them, you can deal with them again. We cannot do good deeds but keep the rightful owner in the dark. Angel Wen is not like these young angels who rush forward as soon as she hears about evil. She is not so demanding and does good deeds without asking for anything in return. As long as this thing is done a little bit, it will be a win-win outcome. Maybe it will be a win-win outcome. The angels can reach a good cooperative relationship with the Hayden civilization and gain an additional eye in the Pocket Nebula. Although Angel 11 felt that there was no need to inform Hayden Wenming, since Sister Wen had said so, she could only hold back her impulse and wait for a while. However, Angel 11 still had one thing to do during this period, and that was to find Rand, the young man who had had a meal with her. He was not difficult to find thanks to his connections on Trading Street. In the scrap dump area of Exchange Street, Angel 11 found the other party here. Wearing a worn-out protective suit, he rummaged through scrap parts that were still of some use. After simple processing, he sold them to weapons repair shops on Exchange Street, or resources. Recyclers. Sister, I didn't expect you to come to me so soon. How about changing places? Although it was a question, Rand mentioned his harvest and walked out of the scrap area. Angel 11 followed him silently. This scene attracted many people because this pair was so strange. One was everywhere. The other visible scavenger kid is an angel with a pretty face and wearing smooth armor. I'm sorry, Sister Angel, my environment here is limited, so you can make do with it? Rand opened the patchwork curtain in his residence, walked in and wiped the only metal table and two spliced stools in the small room. Angel 11 didn't mind and sat on one of the stools, saying nothing. He stared at Rand, who was also sitting opposite, with blue eyes. Sister, you will come to me. I guess you should know the cause of this matter. Yes, sister, you will be targeted by Wonderful Home. It was me who instigated it. It is said that angels can see through the minds of mortals. It seems that my cleverness cannot deceive the eyes of God after all. When Angel 11 heard this, she confirmed a certain doubt in her heart, which was why Wonderful Home dared to target her. The reason why she came to see Rand was just to get an answer, not to settle a score with him. As an angel, she's not that stingy. Why did you provoke this matter? Aren't you afraid that I would kill you if you were exposed? Hearing this, Rand smiled indifferently, not like a teenager at all, but after smiling, Rand regained his composure. Don't be afraid. What's there to miss in this hell-like world? If I'm found out, I'll die. As a god, you won't torture me, a mortal, in a bad way, right? Angels would not do such a thing. We fight for justice, we'll never tolerate evil, and we'll never point weapons at innocent mortals. Angel 11 said seriously. You are really as great as the legend says. If only you could have arrived here a few years earlier, or if I was from a righteous order civilization. When Rand said this, he looked a little regretful. In his eyes, this extremely beautiful angel sister seemed to be cast in a divine light, but as he blinked, that light disappeared completely. There is no trace, it seems to be his own hallucination. My sister was kidnapped and sold here by star thieves, but because she is very good looking, she is a little worse than you, sister. But she is really nice, very good, so nice that she is incompatible with here. I am not her biological brother, I was adopted by her because I had no food to eat. She treats me very well like a biological brother. I know that she only regards me as a substitute for her brother, but what does it matter? She regarded me as the pillar of survival, and I didn't do the same, but the people from the beautiful home came to my sister and said that the money they owed them had not been paid, so they captured her and injected her with spirit. Addictive drugs prevent her from escaping. My sister has changed since then. She became withdrawn, afraid to see me, and often hid in dark corners. She became increasingly weak and haggard, and even finally asked me to kill her to end her pain. When Rand said the last words, his fists were clenched, and he was a little excited. The calm and indifferent look before was completely gone. Angel 11 also lowered his eyes slightly. The feeling of watching her relatives gradually go to suicide, she could get it from Rand. In his words, I felt the anger and despair of being unable to change the status quo. Rand didn't say anything about his sister's final outcome, But Angel 11 could guess it. When you arrived at Exchange Street, I saw your appearance, sister. When you left the hotel that day, I happened to be nearby and saw you going to a roadside shop to change clothes. A desire to borrow your sister's name came to my mind. Hence ruined the idea of a beautiful home. I went directly to the person responsible for purchasing goods at Beautiful Home and provided them with your information, but they didn't believe it, so I took them to find you. Deliberately falling down next to you was their last test. Look at you. Is he a dangerous person? In fact, when sister you looked up, they saw your face not far away through their prosthetic eyes. Fortunately, they didn't recognize you, sister, otherwise I would have died. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 853. Rand said very freely that he didn't care about Angel 11's reaction after knowing that he was using her. In fact, after discovering that the beautiful home was destroyed by the angels, Rand had no goals and lived purely to live. Otherwise, he would have been alive long ago. Hiding. You are indeed lucky. After listening to Rand's story, Angel 11 couldn't help but feel a little sad. She had changed her clothes because she was afraid of trouble, and even changed her hairstyle to cover half of her face with bangs, just because she didn't want to be recognized and attract attention. Rand was completely gambling with his own life. If he made a wrong move, he would end up dead. However, Angel 11 did not feel any anger, but felt a little emotional about the powerlessness of mortals in the face of certain things. Now that she understood the whole story, Angel 11 was ready to leave, leaving Rand behind, who was slightly stunned. Aren't you going to judge me? I deceived you angels. Upon hearing this, Angel 11 turned her head slightly and looked at Rand, who was sitting there in surprise, from the corner of her eye, and said softly, "If justice is so ruthless, then why have angels fought for her for thousands of years?" Leaving behind these words of unknown meaning, Angel 11 spread her wings and flew into the sky and left. Rand chased out the door, looked at Angel 11, who had turned into a small dot in the sky, and sighed. I can even forgive you for deceiving you. You are the gods of the truly weak, but in this cruel universe, this kindness is the favorite prey of those demons. Rand turned around and entered his residence. Angel 11's figure and words echoed in her mind for a long time. After a long absence, Rand lost sleep. Suddenly, a thought came to his mind. His revenge had been avenged. Should he find another one? One goal, I heard from some people, is to live for thousands of years just by becoming a so-called super soldier. Although becoming a super soldier is far away from him, it is precisely because of the distance that it is a suitable goal. I heard that the Hayden civilization is not very discriminatory towards outsiders. Do you want to find an opportunity to sneak over there? After learning that the angels were willing to cooperate, the Hayden civilization almost immediately sent a delegation to the Exchange Street to discuss cooperation matters. Angel Wen did not care about the Hayden civilization, she just wanted to find a place for the angel civilization in the Pocket Nebula. Counting the allies who are on the table, and who are willing to act as thugs, it is unreasonable for Hayden civilization not to be grateful and shed tears. I'm really grateful to the angel civilization, and thank you for your helping hand. Due to the conflict with the Thane civilization, our civilization is now in the midst of internal and external troubles, and we really have no resources to spare. We have always wanted to get rid of the Black God Company quickly, but our elites and main gods are confronting the main god of Thane civilization, and there are rebels at the rear. It is impossible to mobilize a complete fleet, so we let them. Have been enjoying myself till now. When talking about this, the representative of Hayden civilization had a sad look on his face, and it was not entirely fake. According to the records of the angel civilization, Hayden civilization was a relatively loose multiracial alliance governed by a relatively loose multiracial alliance. It was generally pretty good, otherwise it would have disintegrated long ago. It will still exist there to this day. But this gave some careerists room to make trouble. In peacetime, it was okay, and the troublemakers couldn't afford to cause trouble. But during the war with hostile civilizations, these careerists began to show up one by one and disrupt the situation. It is for this reason that Angel Wen decided to cooperate with Hayden's civilization. Otherwise, with the common slight moral obsession of angels, it would be a great kindness not to kill you conveniently. Finally, after a short discussion, the two parties reached a consensus that the Hayden civilization would send a small fleet to participate in the elimination of the Black Star pirates in the Sea of Rogues, and then jointly attack the rebels on the colonial star of the Hayden civilization. Find the madman who dares to attack the angel. Angel Wen also signed a treaty of friendship and cooperation on behalf of Mellow Heavenly Court and Hayden civilization. The two parties will become nominal allies. When Hayden civilization declares this to the outside world, Angel Wen must make this clear. This is because Angel Wen does not want the other party to use the name of Angel, making trouble in the Pocket Nebula. However, even so, other civilizations will give more thought when they attack the Hayden civilization, and this means that the influence of the Angel civilization has begun to enter the Pocket Nebula, which is a good start. Before the representative of Hayden civilization left, he went to meet with the big boss of Trading Street. No one knew the specific deal reached by the two parties, but judging from the results, both parties seemed to be very satisfied. Angel Wen did not care about these trivial matters. She called Angel 11 and an angel named Angel Yun to her room. The matter with the Hayden civilization has been settled. 11. You and Yun will go to the Sea of Wanderers to clear out the group of star thieves. The other sisters and I will first go to the Hayden Galaxy to investigate the true identity of the rebels. If you find something wrong while wiping out the star pirates and just retreat to save your strength, it's not worth losing your life there. Angel Wen's tone was very serious. To be honest, she didn't like taking these young and impulsive angels on missions, because she needed to always remind them not to be stupid. Although the angel civilization is powerful, it does not mean that ordinary angel warriors can run rampant in the universe, especially outside of the righteous order. There is no Stargate built by angels here, and it will take several days, or even longer, for support from the Merlot Heavenly Court to arrive. It was for this reason that Queen Kesha asked her to lead the team. Otherwise, if 5 experienced high-level angels got together to act, the second-generation gods of the general god-making civilization would not be able to please them. Even though Angel Wen, who is leading the team this time, is only an angel warrior with a first-generation divine body, the main god of certain civilizations will still be killed by her sword when he encounters her, no matter whether he is a first-generation or a second-generation. When everything was confirmed, Angel Wen and a group of angels set off directly from the exchange street and flew directly through the universe at the speed of light. They were divided into 2 teams and rushed towards their target star fields. The first ones to arrive at their destination were Angel 11 and Angel Cloud. The small fleet sent by the Hayden civilization to coordinate operations was already waiting at the target point. After talking to the captain, Angel 11 found out that their fleet was actually the escort fleet deployed by the Hayden civilization in the Sea of Wanderers. However, because the scale is not as large as that of the Star Thieves, they have always been defensive and dare not take the initiative to attack. Recently, because the Black God Star Thieves team has an interstellar cruiser from Thane civilization, they have no choice but to avoid each other. The captain of the fleet looked ashamed when he said this. After all, as a regular soldier being chased away by a group of star thieves, even a soldier would not be very balanced. At the same time, the fleet captain was skeptical about the support mentioned by the military, because the so-called support was 2 angels. With just this number, he was allowed to go head-to-head with Black God's plundering fleet. Did the military have any confidence in his ability? What a misunderstanding. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 854. Captain, do you know where the Black God's plundering fleet is now? Angel 11 and Angel Yun boarded the fleet captain's flagship. As soon as they met Angel 11, she asked straight to the point. She didn't want to delay too long because she had to rush to the Hayden Galaxy to meet Sister Wen later. Right behind us, they have been trying to encircle and suppress us during this time, because we disrupted one of their robbery operations not long ago. Now that they have a star cruiser, they must be thinking of destroying us first and integrating this area. All the power of the Star Realm. The fleet captain gave a brief summary of their current situation. Angel 11 and Angel Yun looked at each other and briefly communicated on the communication channel. Angel 11 spoke directly to the fleet captain. In this case, it just so happens that we can set up a trap to give them a fatal blow. Facing Angel 11's words, the fleet captain thought that 11 didn't know the opponent's strength, so he directly objected and told the reason. Lord Angel, although I know you are very powerful, the other party has 5 plundering fleets and 1 cruiser. The total number of battleships is more than 3 times ours. The gap is so huge, how can we win? Angel 11 was not angry at the fleet captain's questioning words, but explained aloud. Your Excellency Fleet Captain, we have already understood the strength of Black God Company before we came here. We know very well who the opponent we are facing, so you don't have to worry about the outcome of this battle. Impossible, I will not agree to such a childish battle plan and risk the lives of my soldiers. The fleet captain did not agree to the plan to ambush the Black God fleet because of Angel 11's guarantee, because the risk was too uncontrollable. Angel 11 felt it was a bit difficult to handle, and finally said directly. Your Excellency Fleet Captain, we cannot stay here for too long. If you do not agree with this action, then we will complete the ambush plan against the Black God fleet alone. The first negotiation for the rendezvous between the Angel and Hayden civilization fleets ended in unhappiness between the two parties. Angel 11 didn't care too much about this. Originally, the support from the Hayden fleet was extra, and it would not make much difference with or without them. Although the other side did not agree with Angel's tactics, the captain was a bit unclear about the specific instructions from above to cooperate with Angel's actions, so he contacted his old boss to inquire about the situation. The old boss's answer was very brief, that is, our Hayden civilization is just a foil for this operation to suppress the Black God. We just need to cooperate with the Angels and don't think too much, their strength is far beyond your imagination. After hanging up the communication, the captain still had some concerns, but it was impossible for his old boss to deceive him on this matter. He decided to talk to the two Angels tomorrow. After a planetary day, Angel 11 unexpectedly received an invitation from the captain of the fleet to discuss the issue of ambushing the Black God fleet again. This time the captain relented, but he also had a request, that is, if things couldn't be done, they would retreat directly. We'll attack the opponent's fleet beyond its capabilities. Angel 11 happily agreed to this, which made the captain hold the rest of his words in his throat. He originally wanted to use this to force Angel 11 to modify the battle plan, but he did not expect that the other party would agree to it. The fleet captain had nothing to say about this. He could only take advantage of the period before the ambush to think about possible unexpected situations and make a list of backup plans to increase the success rate of this operation. After a brief discussion, the ambush point was placed in a star field close to the asteroid gravel belt to facilitate the hiding of the ambush fleet, and the fleet captain also ordered his subordinates to open up a retreat route in advance so that they could escape at any time. Angel 11 and Angel Yun had no objection to this. All that was left was to wait and see how the fleet captain lured their target over. In fact, this is not difficult, because the arrival of the Angel is a secret, and the large-scale military mobilization is easy to detect, so the Black God's plundering fleet immediately assembled its own fleet after obtaining the location of the escort fleet of the Hayden civilization. The plundering fleet came running over. Following the fleet captain's reminder from the communication, Angel 11 saw a sizable fleet sailing from deep space, more than 90% of which were small plundering ships nearly 200 meters in length. has been illegally modified, and the hull is covered with various spikes and blood-ape heraldic patterns. The more eye-catching ones among the Black God fleet are two large ships of about 500 meters, and a 700-meter-long ship that is quite different from other warships. It has sharp edges and thick armor, and there are multiple close defense turrets on the hull. Giant. This largest one is probably the interstellar cruiser mentioned by the fleet commander. No wonder the escort fleet of Hayden's civilization can only hide, because the escort fleet only has a flagship of a 500-meter level large ship, and the others are some conventional 2-meter-sized ships. There are less than 10 300-meter strike ships in total, which are completely impossible to defeat. But this is just like that in the eyes of Angel 11 and Angel Yun. Angel has long eliminated small ships, and now only the Skyblade series is still in service, which is a behemoth with a wingspan of tens of kilometers. Yun, wait until they get close to me to attract their attention. You can use the Skyblade judgment to destroy the big one first. Angel Cloud nodded and stepped back slightly to prepare for the Skyblade judgment. Angel 11 relaxed her body slightly and prepared to attack. When the plundering fleet was still a short distance away from the asteroid belt, she rushed out. Of course, Angel 11 did not rush directly to the plundering fleet. She ran the conventional shielding algorithm of Merlot Heaven, which can block the conventional scanning detection methods of most civilizations in the universe. This is an algorithm specially developed by the Angel civilization in order to fight against the fleets of aerospace-level civilization. It is to bully the other party into not knowing dark energy scanning and detection. When an ordinary aerospace-level civilization encounters an Angel surprise attack, it is no different than a blind man. As a star thief, the Black God's plundering fleet would certainly not have such advanced scanning equipment. It was not until Angel 11 got close to the fleet's defense zone that he was discovered and captured by the optical observation equipment, but this was already a bit late. One strike of flame bombardment formed a slash and directly cut a plundering ship in half. Then Angel 11 shuttled through the dense close defense firepower network of the plundering ship and continuously launched several meters of flaming slashes. I saw dazzling fires rising from the hulls of the plundering ships that mortal angels passed by. Although there was no explosion, the flame slashed directly through the outer armor of these warships. A large number of star thieves were sucked into the universe by the unbalanced air pressure and suffocated to death. Even wearing breathing masks was useless. The various rays of the vacuum and the low temperature would directly turn them into lifelike ice sculptures. Although the few star thieves who floated to areas illuminated by stars would not freeze to death, they could only be helplessly carried further and further away by the impact of the explosion. This was even more cruel to them, because they did not know that they were still alive. How long can you live? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 855. After Angel 11 disrupted the formation of the Black God fleet by herself, Angel Cloud stopped hiding and directly launched the Skyblade judgment. In an instant, a dazzling brilliance bloomed from the flaming sword he held high. Faced with this sudden high-intensity energy reaction, the Black God fleet immediately began to search for the source, and soon locked the general direction of the Angel Cloud. But Angel 11, who had already rushed into the fleet, would not let the Black God fleet open fire on her sister easily. She rushed near the largest interstellar cruiser and slashed at the opponent's ship with dozens of flaming slashes. However, this battleship was equipped with an energy shield, which blocked Angel 11's attack, but it was enough. Angel Yun had prepared the Skyblade trial in advance, and now even the final energy accumulation has been completed. The next moment, a golden red glow blasted out from the asteroid belt across space, aiming directly at the largest interstellar cruiser. However, the opponent slightly deflected the ship to avoid the main part, but its energy shield and one side of the ship were directly it was rubbed, exposing part of the internal structure. The most unlucky thing was the large plundering ship located on one side. Because there was no shield protection, most of the hull was cut away by the energy impact of the Skyblade Judgment, and it almost died in the explosion. Yun, well done. Angel 11 praised, turned around, and rushed directly into the interior of the Star Cruiser through the damaged area. Angel Yun took over Angel 11's duties and quickly broke into the Black God fleet to attack the more fragile plundering ships. The escort fleet of the Hayden civilization hiding in the asteroid belt saw that the Angels were so fierce and destroyed a large ship of the opponent at the beginning of the battle. Finally, they could no longer sit still. The captain of the fleet directly ordered the entire fleet to attack, targeting the enemy's plundering ship. Plan to clean up these relatively fragile small ships with the Angels first. The Black God fleet was blinded for a while. Before the enemies that broke into the fleet were cleared, 10 more military warships from the Hayden civilization jumped out from the distance and opened fire at them wildly. Their boss had also lost contact just now, and some of the Star Thieves had already given up. After all, they were not an army, and they did not have the courage to fight to the death, especially when they could escape. Angel 11, who broke into the Black God pirates' flagship, did not rush to find the bridge of the cruiser. Instead, she reached out and grabbed a very ordinary terminal on the bulkhead of the ship's hull, and relied on her own computing power to forcibly paralyze the ship. Communication system on. As for why the engine is not turned off and the entire warship is not controlled, some civilizations have considered this issue when designing military warships. Not to mention the backup manual operation, the internal data exchange lines are separated for each function. The communication lines are exposed because ordinary soldiers also use them. Other lines are only connected to the bridge. Only on the bridge can rapid invasion be carried out. But why are you still invading the battleship after Angel 11 has arrived on the bridge? Isn't the flaming sword in his hand delicious? After finishing making the enemies inside the battleship deaf, Angel 11 began to wreak havoc, slashing everything she saw and killing enemies. For a time, no one inside the huge interstellar cruiser could stop her advancement. I don't know whether it was 1 minute or 5 minutes later, but Tian 11 slashed open the bulkhead blocking the way with her sword. The scenery in her sight changed, and she came into a rather spacious hall. Tens of meters away from Angel 11, a man with a gloomy face and a jet-black combat armor was sitting on the main seat staring at her. I have no enmity with you Angels. Why do you Angels come to deal with me? You have no enmity with our Angels, but since you dared to rob within the scope of the righteous order, didn't you expect that you would be surrounded and suppressed by the Angels? Angel 11's sword pointed at the Black God who was sitting there. The opponent was the leader of the Star Thief fleet, codenamed Black God. He was once a super soldier of Thane civilization, and his level was not low. Like Angel 11, he was a third-generation super soldier. Damn it, you Angels are going to destroy me just for the sake of those natives who are not even post-nuclear civilization. He Shen gritted his teeth and said that all his decades of hard work had been destroyed by the angel in front of him. He hated her and wanted to kill her. Even if he dies here today, he will still hold an angel on his back and make those who surrounded and suppressed him pay the price. He Shen suddenly stood up from his seat, reached out and pulled out a heavy pistol as long as his forearm, pointed it at Angel 11 and pulled the trigger, and several slender silver bullets shot out from the muzzle. Angel 11 stepped forward and rushed towards the opponent when he stood up. Facing the bullets fired in the face, she just raised her arms to block her face, and only heard a few crisp sounds before the bullets bounced away. Seeing this, He Shen looked shocked. The bullets he fired from his pistol just now were not ordinary bullets. They were god-killing armor-piercing bullets he bought from the underground world at a huge price. There were only a few bullets in total, specially used to deal with super soldiers. Although he was shocked, Black God was still a third-generation super soldier after all. He drew out his weapon and slashed at the angel who had rushed in front of him with a sword with energy-cutting function. A loud explosion resounded in the hall. Black God flew backwards and smashed through the alloy wall behind him. He fell to the ground and rolled a few times before getting up again. Looking at the slightly bent sword in his hand, he felt a wave of pain. Unbelievable. Angel 11 was also shaken by the force of the counterattack, and was unable to get up to deliver a fatal blow to the opponent. However, on the other hand, she had confidence in her heart that the opponent seemed to be weaker than she thought. If this is the case, then use one force to reduce the power of 10, and activate the dark energy cutting. The blade of the flaming sword immediately becomes as if it has just been burned in the flames, emitting a fiery red light. At this time, Angel 11 also passed through the bulkhead with a hole in it, raised his weapon high and struck the Black God with a powerful and heavy blow. Seeing that he couldn't dodge, Kurakama could only raise his weapon to resist. There was another deafening roar, and Kurakama felt that he was almost crushed to his knees by the huge force of the weapon. But before he could recover, Angel 11's next blow had already arrived. This time, the weapon he used to block was almost broken and bent into a V, and his body fell backwards. It slid back several meters on the alloy floor. Angel 11 quickly landed next to the Black God with a light leap. He held the flaming sword in his hands and pressed it towards the weak belly of the Black God's armor lying on the ground. The sword body sank into his abdominal cavity, and fiery red cracks quickly spread from the wound towards spread around. Black God suddenly realized that his super gene was being destroyed. He desperately grabbed the flaming sword that had penetrated his abdomen with both hands and tried to pull it out. At the same time, he shouted in horror, "No!" But the super gene was being rapidly destroyed, and he still had strength. After a few seconds, the Black God lost his life, and Angel 11 pulled out his weapon from his body. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 856. Only then did Angel 11 begin to check whether there were any injuries on her body. Apart from a few scratches on her arm guard caused by bullets, there were no other injuries. Angel 11 was not surprised that he could kill a super soldier of the same level so easily. Even if some god-making civilizations could create super soldiers of the same level as angels, it did not mean that they could catch up with angels' technology. Angel's super warrior technology has been optimized countless times during these tens of thousands of years. Various resistances and outputs are maximized within the range that the body of the third-generation super warrior can bear. To put it bluntly, the god-making projects established by some civilizations may not necessarily be able to surpass the three-generation super warriors of angels in some fields. Not to mention that angels are equipped with flaming swords equipped with stellar weapon engines. This is a cutting-edge weapon that can use stellar energy to a certain extent. Only angels in the entire universe are so heroic and equip all warriors with god-killing weapons. After killing the Black God, Angel 11 stopped rushing in and started calculating the energy formula for the flame bombing directly in the hall, collapsing the resistance of the interstellar cruiser from the inside. From the outside world, when they discovered that their boss could not be contacted and explosions and flames appeared from time to time on the cruiser, the morale of Black God's Star Thief fleet collapsed and they dispersed. Even though Angel Cloud and the escort fleet tried their best to stop them, less than half of the plundering ships still escaped, but the largest Black Star Pirates warships were left behind. The next step was to persuade the Star Thieves in the destroyed plundering ships to surrender, and to clean up the battlefield and count the loot obtained. Angel 11 and Angel Yun were not interested in this. What followed was a long process of clearing out the remaining fleet of the Black Star Pirates. With the assistance of two high-level angels, the captain felt that this was the easiest battle he had fought since joining the army. On the other hand, the captain of the fleet was also frightened by the fighting power of the angels. How should they deal with them if they became enemies? As a result, the captain of the fleet came to an extremely pessimistic answer, that is, the only way to play is to die together, otherwise the Hayden civilization would not be able to survive. A glimmer of chance. On the other side, Angel Wen and the Hayden civilization, who have arrived in the Hayden galaxy for some time, have already figured out the location of the rebels' lair. After all, the Angel's eyes of insight are really useful, especially in gathering intelligence. The Hayden civilization had a strong desire to wipe out this group of rebels, and quickly came up with a plan. For this purpose, it also mobilized 3 full fleets and a 300-strong super warrior army, tens of thousands of them. The Space Marines, except for the army and the main god who are confronting Thane's civilization, are all elite. Angel Wen was initially surprised that the Hayden civilization could still produce a 300-strong super warrior legion, because it was impossible for the opponent's main force to be transferred back at the galaxy border. As a result, after meeting the so-called Super Soldier Legion, I realized that I was overthinking it. In the 300-strong Super Soldier Legion, only the leader is a third-generation warrior, and the 3 captains are second-generation warriors. The remaining 297 people are wearing enhanced clothing. A generation of warriors with type power armor. The weapons it configures are also relatively conventional particle weapons, as well as a fighting knife with trace amounts of special metal added, which can damage super soldiers to a certain extent. Only a few snipers in the team will be equipped with god-killing armor-piercing bullets as a weapon against enemies. The effective striking force of Fang's super soldier. To be honest, as a god-making civilization on the Bach Nebula platoon, this performance is a bit lame. Angel Wen has no doubt that a high-level angel under her command can sweep away their entire legion. Therefore, in this battle to exterminate the rebels, Angel Wen did not expect too much from the army of Hayden civilization. She planned to lead the team herself to fight for an early resolution and return to Merlo Heaven. The Hayden civilization was very happy that the angels were willing to cooperate with them, and they were confident in the military battle to raid the rebels' lair. Because there is a fighting god among the angels. This is a super existence that is enough to destroy the balance of a war. At this moment, the rebels did not know that they were about to be in catastrophe. They were still celebrating their recent victories in the colonial star base they had just occupied. The leader of the rebels continued to describe the situation to the people present during the celebratory banquet. The pie of the future. Compatriots, our great and sacred cause has reached its most critical moment. As long as we win a few more victories, we can liberate our compatriots who are oppressed and discriminated against. Then we can build an army powerful enough to conquer all civilizations. After the cocktail party, the rebel leader Nikes returned to his office. In the corner, a member of the Hidden Edge wearing a dark blue cloak appeared from the void. He first saluted respectfully to Nikes, and then some emitted sounds from the skull mask under the cloak. A hoarse male voice. Lord Nex, the super genes we used to cultivate the Hidden Edge have been exhausted. If there are no new super genes to supplement, we can only stop the expansion of the Hidden Edge troops. After hearing the report from his subordinates, Nikes felt a little headache, but he didn't show it. He just asked, "How's our cracking job going?" "It's not going well. The Hidden Edge's super gene contains encryption technology that we can't understand. The current cracking progress is extremely slow. As for the imitation of weapons, we lack certain key materials and cannot create similar weapons." After hearing this, Nex nodded to indicate that he understood. Seeing this, Hidden Edge knew that it was time to leave, so he retreated into the darkness and shuttled through space to leave the room. Nikes stood up and began to pace back and forth in his office. He took out a dull purple crystal several times, but when he saw no response, he could only put it into his arms again. "I don't believe I can't deal with the Alliance without your help." After a long time, Nikes said something irritably, returned to his seat, and began to look through some information collected by the Hidden Edge, including the information about angels. This is the source of Nex's irritability, because an angel came to Hayden civilization a few months ago. Hidden Edge tried to get closer to collect information, but was discovered before he could get close. Fortunately, the distance was far and it was a bustling urban area, so he was not caught. Since then, the once invincible Hidden Frontier has been unable to obtain key information about the Hayden civilization. In the past few months, Nex has lost his eyes and has no idea what the Hayden civilization is doing. Just when Nex was still thinking about how to break the situation in his office, suddenly the entire colonial star base sounded a piercing alarm. Just when he was about to ask his subordinates what happened, his subordinate's communication request was blocked first. Out. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 857. The leader is in trouble. A large number of warships suddenly appeared outside the colonial star, and they attacked our starport. Nikes's heart skipped a beat, but he did not panic, and calmly commanded into the communication. Don't panic. This is our base camp. The Alliance cannot mobilize many troops to attack us. Tell the soldiers of the starport that they must defend it. Then Nex got through to his Marine commander and asked him to set up a defense line inside the colonial star. Even if the Alliance had a fleet advantage, how could they dare to directly bomb the colonial star base with tens of millions of residents? Sooner or later, they will still have to fight a ground battle with themselves. When the support from other colonial stars arrives, they may be able to eat up this group of Alliance troops attacking them. As for why Nex is so confident that he can delay the arrival of reinforcements, it is because there are hundreds of hidden frontiers in the colonial star. These second-generation super soldiers who are proficient in lurking and capable of short-distance space travel are the strongest hunters in colonial stars with complex terrain. Even third-generation super soldiers are no match for them, let alone fragile mortals. But as time passed, the war situation began to deteriorate rapidly. Nex soon received the news that his fleet was completely annihilated, and then the starport was quickly lost. The Alliance's army has begun to make a breakthrough and is about to land inside the colonial star base. When did the Alliance's army become so powerful? But as the ground battle began, Hidden Edge finally figured out the reason for the surge in combat power of the Alliance army. Nex was a little panicked after hearing this. Angel Wen passed through the gap blasted by the Hayden Civilization Super Soldier Legion and landed on the streets inside the colonial star. It must be said that the Hayden Civilization was quite thoughtful. The colony star is actually a giant artificial cylindrical base located close to a large asteroid. There are clearly divided urban areas, industrial areas, and agricultural areas within the colonial star, with a permanent population of 10 million. In order to stabilize such a huge man-made facility, extremely thick support pillars are crisscrossed, connecting the colonial stars in all directions. Shell. This is the information given by Hayden Civilization, but according to Angel Wen's observation, although the structural design here is ingenious, it is extremely fragile and can be easily destroyed. After the angels enter the colonial star, please be gentle, this place cannot withstand the torment. After observing for a while, Angel Wen contacted several high-level angel warriors who were assisting Hayden Civilization and gave them a heads up. At this moment, several armored rebels rushed over and opened fire when they saw Angel Wen standing on the roadside. But the next moment, with a flash of red arc light, these soldiers and their armor were split into two from their chests, and blood spilled on the spot. Angel Wen sighed slightly. Killing these mortals did not make her feel interesting. It would be better to say that she hated being mixed into ordinary civilized wars. Some of their so-called pursuits seemed childish and ridiculous to her. Suddenly Angel Wen's ears twitched and she heard slight sobbing coming from the collapsed ruins nearby. She walked over and opened up a broken wall several meters wide. The sight she saw made Angel Wen pause slightly. A little girl from Hayden Civilization happened to be stuck between several collapsed walls, unable to move. Next to her was a young woman with only half of her body exposed and her clothes dyed bright red. Angel Wen squatted down and pushed open the rest of the broken wall, took out the crying little girl, and comforted her. Stop crying, can my sister take you to a safe place? I want my mother, I want my mother. Angel Wen did not stop. She spread her wings behind her and flew into the air. She said hesitantly to the little girl in her arms. Your mother is tired. She has already fallen asleep. How about we not disturb her? Under Angel Wen's constant soothing words, the little girl seemed to really believe it. Maybe she was tired from crying and gradually fell asleep in her arms. Angel Wen subconsciously slowed down her flight speed. Your Excellency Angel Wen, our soldiers have encountered a group of elusive enemies. I hereby implore you to support our soldiers. I have something to do and I can't leave now. Let your soldiers hold on for a while. After speaking, Angel Wen fell to the area on the ground that had been cleared by the Hayden civilized Marines. After scanning the surroundings, she directly found a medical soldier who was treating the wounds of the wounded. Please help me take care of this child first. While Angel Wen was speaking, she handed the sleeping little girl in her arms to the medical soldier. The other party did not dare to refuse. After all, the person in front of her was an angel. When Angel Wen saw that the other party had taken the child without saying anything, she turned around and rushed into the sky, quickly heading towards the location where Hayden civilization had just arrived. On the other side, the Hayden Super Soldier Corps, who were responsible for acting as sharp knives, encountered terrifying enemies they had never seen before. Even if they remained extremely vigilant, the hunters hiding in the darkness could easily take the lives of their companions. They thought that by becoming super soldiers, they would be able to defeat hundreds of enemies on the battlefield, but the cruel reality told them that when facing enemies that were more powerful than themselves, they were no different from fragile mortals. For a moment, they were trapped in this area. With a scream, a hidden edge took out his arm blade and stabbed it into the back of a super soldier. Before other people around him could react, his body was covered with the layers of blue energy particles escaped through space, and this happened constantly. What's even more deadly is that the weapons of these cloaked men can easily break through the defense of super soldiers and cause fatal injuries to them supermen. If this continues, their entire army will soon be annihilated here. And at this moment, a figure suddenly fell from the sky, and in an instant, a faint red energy wave spread out, like a breeze blowing out of thin air, but everyone present vaguely felt that the surrounding air seemed a little different. Angel Wen glanced back and forth at the empty space around her, and suddenly a sword thrust out, blood splashing. As Angel Wen withdrew the weapon, a figure wearing a dark blue hooded cloak emerged from nothingness and fell to the ground. Has died directly. Angel Wen raised her eyebrows when she saw this. This seemed a bit weak. With this level, they were able to severely damage Angel Chase. Apart from hiding their skills, there was nothing special about them at all. However, this did not affect Angel Wen's killing spree. The flaming sword drew streaks of red sword light in the air, and the hidden members of the Hidden Edge were found and killed one by one. Wen wanted to solve the problem here as soon as possible and eliminate the enemies of the Colonial Star, so he moved very quickly. This made the nearby super soldiers find that they had nothing to do and could only look at Angel Wen with wonder or shock. Performance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 858. Nearly 100 of the hidden frontiers sent by Nex to strangle the Hayden civilization Super Warrior Legion were killed by Angel Wen in random directions, and only a few of them escaped from the battlefield with the help of their ability to travel through space. Okay, the assassins here have been eliminated, I will leave first. Angel Wen shook off a trace of dirt on the flaming sword and planned to leave here, preparing to follow the escaping Hidden Edge to find their leader. Thank you, Lord Angel, for your help. Our Hayden civilization will never forget this kindness. Angel Wen, who was already upset by this war, did not accept the Legion commander's kindness and just replied lightly. There's no need to thank you. You should just think about how to end this meaningless civil war as soon as possible. After saying that, Angel Wen flapped her wings and rose into the sky, opened her eyes of insight to scan the escaped members of the Hidden Edge, and followed the route they left. The army commander who was asking for trouble was ridiculed by his subordinates, but the army commander did not care about the attitude of the angels. As a high-ranking officer of the Hayden civilization, he had read his own civilization's records of the angel civilization. Although the description of the angel civilization is a bit vague, it can be seen from its few words that the civilization where they were born has never had a war, and every angel is a noble person who believes in justice. In the eyes of an angel who lives in such a utopian society, the Hayden civilization where he lives must be full of filth, but even so, the other party is still willing to assist them. He feels that he should thank her. After all, if it were not for that angel, his brothers might all die. It's here. However, those white wings, beautiful face, long hair as smooth as gold, sharp and crisp movements during battle and divine temperament are truly a perfect partner that only exists in dreams. Niquez was sitting in the command room of the Hidden Edge flagship. Below him were a dozen dispatchers who were analyzing the battle situation and responsible for each war zone. Just now, the elite force Hidden Edge he was proud of was defeated by an angel. This caused the morale of the dispatchers who knew the news to drop at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Seeing this, Niquez also understood that the defeat of the battle was inevitable. He planned to escape from the Colonial Star after the surviving members of the Hidden Edge came back. As long as there are members of the Hidden Edge under him, he will still be the leader of the rebels, and no one can shake his position, otherwise he will be a mere commander. Soon a dispatcher reported, "Chief, all members of the Hidden Edge who are still alive have boarded the ship. Do you want to stay and wait for other troops?" Nex stood up, waved his big hand and said coldly, "No, activate the stealth immediately. If it continues, we won't be able to leave." The dispatcher hesitated to speak, but still faithfully carried out the order. This meant that all the rebel troops still fighting the Alliance on the Colonial Star had become abandoned. Just when the Invisible was about to take off and crash through a weak area of the colony to leave, suddenly the ship's hull shook violently, as if it had hit something. The next moment, Niquez, who was on the bridge, widened his eyes. Because the giant optical display screen on the front of the bridge was suddenly cut into 4 pieces by a staggered red sword energy. Through the red-hot gap that had not yet cooled down, the simulated sky of the Colonial Star outside could be clearly seen. Before everyone on the bridge could recover from the sudden change, a figure had already entered the bridge through the gap, and Niquez also found that there was an extra sword in front of his neck, the blade of which was glowing red. Brilliant heavy sword. You should be the leader of the rebels. It really took me a lot of time to find you. Angel Wen's voice was cold, but it made Niquez feel like he had fallen into an ice cellar. Lord Angel, the Liberation Front I established has no quarrel with you angels. Why do you want to interfere in the internal affairs of our Hayden civilization? Nex tried his best to ignore the heat radiating from the weapon in front of his neck, and bravely asked. He was able to become the leader of the rebels because he knew how to be a good person and bowed his head when it was time to do so. Oh! If you could have thought this way before launching beast body demon warriors into the roamer civilization in the galaxy to attack high-level angels, then I wouldn't be here today. Niquez had a question mark on his face when he heard this. He didn't even know where the Milky Way was. How could he do what the angel said? He quickly explained. Lord Angel, are you mistaken? I don't even know where the Milky Way is, and I don't even know what the beast body demon you are talking about is. Angel Wen also frowned upon hearing this. This guy seemed to be saying the same thing. Based on the rebels' poor performance, how could they go to the Milky Way millions of light years away to cause trouble? It was him who preconceived the idea. What's going on with those hidden edges? That's just an elite assassination force under my command. They have never left the Pocket Nebula to perform missions, Lord Angel. Nikes knew from the change in Angel Wen's expression that he seemed to have been scapegoated by the big boss who dared to be an enemy of Angel, and he felt like crying without tears in his heart. Protect the leader. At this moment, several members of the Hidden Edge appeared beside Angel Wen at the same time, and their arm blades flashing with cold light pierced her body from all directions. Angel Wen avoided all the attacks by jumping back, but the original intention of the Hidden Edge was to force him to leave so that he could rescue his leader from his sword. At this moment, the other rebels on the bridge saw that the leader of Nex was out of danger, and they did not bother to take out their weapons and start shooting at Angel Wen. But the next moment, a red slash swept across the interior of the bridge horizontally, muting most of the gunshots that had just sounded. The 10-meter-long cut on the bulkhead made the remaining rebels immediately understand and throw their weapons aside and raise their hands high. Nikes felt the coldness in Angel Wen's eyes, and said dejectedly to several members of the Hidden Edge around him, "Drop your weapons." Seeing that the other party was so understanding, Angel Wen did not intend to kill them all, but asked, "You don't have the ability to go to the Milky Way to cause trouble, and you probably don't have the courage. So how did your super warriors get the god-killing weapons in their hands? This is not something you can buy with money." Angel Wen keenly discovered the strangeness in this. The civilizations in the entire known universe that can mass-produce god-killing weapons on a large scale do not exceed the number of palms, and they basically do not sell them to the outside world. What did this little rebel leader do? There are so many god-killing warriors. Nikes was also broken at this moment. She knew that she fell into the hands of the Alliance and would definitely die. He already had suspicions about the person who made him take the blame, but he was unable to retaliate against the other party, so he might as well put himself tell everything you know and drag the other party into the water. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 859. This was provided to our rebels by a very mysterious person. He wore the same clothes as the Hidden Edge. I have never seen his true face, but he suddenly stopped supporting us a year ago. Nex did not hide anything. Angel Wen confirmed her guess and continued to ask, "Why does he want to fund you? God-killing weapons are cutting-edge weapons. I don't believe that the other party gave them to you for free." "Yes, Lord Angel, he asked me to develop the rebel forces. As long as I can meet his requirements, he promised to provide us with continuous assistance from super genes and god-killing weapons. The price is that after I become the supreme ruler of Hayden civilization, I will have to fight for him at a certain time in the future. It's that simple. Lord Angel, our strength is too weak. Even if you want us to do something else, we can't do it." Nex said with a bitter look on his face. He thought he was still a chess player in the Hayden civilization, but he was just a dispensable chess piece in the universe. He knew this clearly. "By the way, Lord Angel, I still have a device here that can contact the other party." Angel Wen picked up the 8-sided prismatic purple crystal that Nex took out from his arms, opened his eyes of insight to scan its composition, and deciphered its communication lines, trying to trace it back to the holder on the other side. But Angel Wen soon gave up, because the other party had destroyed the communication line in advance, and the crystal had become a piece of waste. However, Angel Wen did not gain anything, because the technology for making this kind of crystal is rare and requires extremely high dark energy programming technology. Again, not many people in the universe know this stuff. Angel Wen didn't have to wait too long. The Super Legion of Hayden civilization came over and took over the custody of Nex. After the war was completely over, Angel Wen found a more secluded place and contacted Mei. Luo Tianting. Queen Keisha, the investigation into the person behind the release of super soldiers in the galaxy has been concluded, but I don't know whether to continue the investigation. That civilization did it? Kesh's response on the other side of the communication was brief, and Angel Wen reported her findings one by one. I understand. There is no need to continue the investigation. Wen, you have done a good job in assisting the Hayden civilization. It has given us angels one more friend in the Pocket Nebula. If you are not in a hurry to return to Merlo Heaven, help them clean up the rebels, but don't get involved in the confrontation between them and Thane's civilization. Understand, Queen Keisha, I will not violate the law of justice and order and intervene in conflicts of civilizations outside the justice order. Angel Wen hung up the communication and felt that the sound of gunfire was gradually fading away from the colonial star base, and her mood felt inexplicably better. In the justice world, in the core research room of the stellar ring, Binghua looked at the star map projection in the void and smiled. After nearly a year of forcible cracking, she finally obtained part of the star map information of the Eternal Ascended One. In order to decipher the information in the core data of the destroyer sequence captured by them, Tianjian's computing power has been occupied for a long time, which has affected some technology research and development of the justice world, but it is all worth it. Because Binghua obtained the location of the Eternal Ascended host from this star map, which is the terminal of all Eternal Ascended and the creator of all high-sequence destroyers. Its name is translated into the Angel Kamigawa language, which is Sa Milo. With the Queen having this coordinate position, does it mean that we can completely destroy the Eternal Ascended One? Jingnan asked curiously from the side. She had just come to the world of justice a few years ago and didn't know why the Queen was so excited. Yes, I've had enough of the endless war of attrition with it. This time I'm going to pierce the knife directly into its core and completely eliminate this huge hidden danger for the just world. Binghua clenched his fists, and was already thinking about what he needed to prepare for this attack on Samailo. Queen, I don't think there is any need to be so anxious. Since we have each other's flaws, we should be fully prepared. Otherwise, if we fail, this opportunity will be wasted. As Binghua's assistant, Jingnan knew that the Queen was making strategic arrangements when he saw her deep in thought, so he admonished her. What you said does make sense. I'm just impatient. Only the 1st Expeditionary Army is currently resting and recuperating. It's really not suitable to open another large-scale battlefield. Thank you for reminding me, Jingnan. Only when you are by my side will someone remind me of this. Binghua stopped thinking about this for the time being, smiled at Jingnan, and said with emotion. This is my duty as your assistant, and Queen, you will also think of this soon. You are not the kind of character who likes to go all or nothing. Binghua smiled when he heard this. Although he knew that Jingnan was saying nice things, he still felt comfortable in his heart. He turned away from paying attention to the star map in the research room. When he passed Jingnan, he touched her arm and said, "Let's go. I haven't gone out after staying here for almost a year. The results have just come out. I also want to give myself a long vacation and have a good rest." Seeing his Queen's figure disappearing at the door of the research room, Jingnan told Tianjian to save the Queen's research information, then turned around and followed the Queen's footsteps, holding the information terminal in his arms. Soon the God's Throne world issued new orders to the 2nd and 3rd Expeditionary Forces, which were cleaning out the Chaos Virus and the remnants of the Eternal Ascended Ones in Starfield number 8 and the Death Star Field. Stop continuing to attack and stabilize the existing defense line. At the same time, each unit rotates back to the Justice World in batches to rest and recuperate. This sudden order made Qi and Langrim, the commanders of the 2 expeditionary forces, a little confused. However, they still carried out the order from the Queen and began to recall the troops that were still advancing and withdraw from the war zone in an orderly manner. Faced with the sudden retreat of the righteous world, neither the Chaos Virus nor the Eternal Ascended One chose to fight. It is true that the Justice World was extremely violent in this war, and its methods were extremely cruel, including orbital bombing, land clearing, and information interference tactics. Before the troops evolved to cope with this attack mode, the Chaos Lords of the Death Star territory planned to spare this group of guys who would burn the planet at every turn. The Eternal Ascended ones in Star Region 8 are even simpler. They have been disturbed by Lang Leem's information and have been disrupted by the rapid advance tactics of their positions. They are currently undergoing upgrades in this area, which will take some time to complete. As a result, the world of justice and the front lines of both sides, which have been fighting each other for decades, unexpectedly entered a strange calm.